Well, I mean, I call it prog rock, although I've been told not to, really. But that's kind of what it is to me. It's an album that's based on its lyricism, on its poetry, and the songs are cut to fit the words, as opposed to the words being cut to fit the songs, as normally happens. I tend not to sort of keep favourites in anything. You know, it's like my favourite is whatever I'm working on at that particular point in time. You know, I like to participate, but once it's done, I'm not a great consumer of my own things. Well, you know, I co-write them all, but I mean, all the lyrics are mine. But the way that I'd mostly work, I mean, the majority of the material, as with the Minutes, was written between me and Guy Sigsworth. And how that works is that Guy would send me over a very basic track, which I won't listen to until I've got into record. I go straight into record. The minute it comes on, I start improvising to the point where I don't even know what the next chord change is. And this way, I think you end up with a melody that's more instinctive as opposed to designed, if you know what I'm saying. And then I write the words to that. That's usually what happens. Or else I write the words and it goes the other way around. But yeah, all of these words are mine in this album. Well, I'm less nervous, so consequently my vibrato is not as fast. Yeah, that makes you. I wouldn't exactly call it nervous, but there's a kind of a heightened state of emergency. You know? Yeah, it's just yeah, it was more. I felt everything was more pressing. I don't know what it was, but yeah, your voice changes sometimes because of your physicality, and sometimes because you make different choices about it. You know, it comes to a point where I found that I used to always sing really, really big, and now it's become so ubiquitous big singing that I sort of go the other way and stop singing really big, you know. The songs that I've been writing over the last few years, it's been far more about the poetry really than the just sort of like grandstanding over a voice. You know, I just think just because you can sing and sing big doesn't mean you should do it always. It's what you leave out as much as what you put in. You know. My life has changed really quite radically in the last 5 years. I used to live, kind of a bit in the country where I was, kind of quite isolated. And what had happened there is I'd spent many years feeling observed. And my life has changed. I've moved to this place called Brighton, which is in the south of England, which is a town of real diversity. And instead of living in this big house with a big sweeping drive, I bought myself a terrace, and and I walk everywhere. I think I've driven twice in 2 years, and consequently I observe. So it's about watching. And this town is so brilliantly interesting that, like I say, so much diversity of, young people and old people, and different sexualities and different religions. A real kind of melting pot of otherness, which appeals to me. You know those litigious types. We were called Yazoo, and we got and the minute that we dropped our first single, an American band who were called Yazoo sued us for $1 million, which was kind of quite funny because we had no money at all. So we changed our name to Yaz, and then they said their female singer had always been called Yaz, so they sued us for $1.5 million instead. And then we got one advance, which was for $15,000, and they just took all of that. That's how the name changed. I go out, I'm a part of a three-piece on my live setup, so I work with two guys, John Garden and Sean McGee, and it's an electronica set. So it's programmed. There's also obviously live playing, and obviously everything I do is completely live. But it's an electronic set, and that means that I'm able to revisit, a decent amount of Yaz material, as well as some of the things throughout my, middle of my career, and then these last two albums of mine, The Minutes and Now Other, which are based in electronica, and it allows for a more a cohesive set. It's difficult for someone like me whose output has been actually quite diverse. It's come from a lot of different places. It's really difficult to do a live set and not have it sound like some nasty karaoke or do you know what I mean? It's like it's just too. I can't think of the word. I can't think of the word. It becomes too eccentric. It's just too bonkers. And the great thing about electronica is that it can tie in all of those flavours. I mean, if you look at those Yaz albums, if you stripped away the electronica, you'd actually see the material within those albums. It's really diverse. It's really different, but it's that sound that holds it together, and thus it works for my live material. So there's a lot of energy. It's quite irreverent. I'm always in the moment. I'm always there with it, and I love a bit of I love connecting with the audience, and I feel very good about my live work. I think you should come!